All right, I'm Michael Robinson, Penn State graduate. Yes, how long ago was that now, Caroline? Huh? 04, 05. I got my degree, my first degree in public relations and advertising, my second degree in broadcast journalism. Spent 8 years in the National Football League, 8 accredited seasons in the National Football League. 4 years with the San Francisco 49ers, 4 years with the Seattle Seahawks, won a Super Bowl after the 2013 season, went to a Pro Bowl, was the Big Ten Player of the Year. Now I work for NFL Media. I also work for NBC Sports. I call games for the USFL, and I do some Big Ten Network stuff as well, along with running two foundations. I run Excel to Excellence Youth Football Foundation. We create football leagues for young people in the Central Virginia area. We're part of the AAU group. And then also Excel to Excellence. We run a learning center here on the east end part of Richmond. We service about 5,000 families between the two foundations. And yeah, this is what I want to be. This is where I want to be, and this is what I want to do. And with regards to mental health, why do I think the cause is so important? This may sound simple, but the way I look at everybody should have great mental health, right? Because it's how you see yourself interacting in this time and space. It's how you see yourself within this time and space and interacting with all the forces, people, and energies within this time and space. And quite honestly, I believe that the bodies that we walk around with are just a suitcase for our brain. I think our brain is everything. And so, yeah, whether it's military people who go over the war and come back and need help, just, kind of adjusting back to life, whether it's football players who can't, they can't find purpose in the real world. They think football is all that they're worth and all that they'll ever be. I love working with those groups as well, and as well as young people throughout my foundations. You'd be surprised all the generational trauma, especially in the neighborhoods that look like me. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. So we need champions of the cause. And that's why I decided to take on mental health and be the face of it for the National Football League. I think it's very important that, a tough, rough sport like football and the people that put on the game talk about mental health, because at the end of the day, I grew up during a time in football where we weren't supposed to talk about how we felt and how our brains felt and things like that. And so I think it's very powerful for athletes to come out and speak about it, because at the end of the day, we are all affected by mental health. Okay, we're all affected by it. It's just that some of us understand how to deal with it a little bit better and have better outcomes for our reality. And then some of us allow our environment to program us to such a point where our mental health is bad. And I like helping those people.
So we're going to get into the questions. Thank you so much for coming to speak with us today. So my first question for you is, why are student athletes and professional athletes at risk for mental health problems?
Why are professional athletes and athletes in general just at risk for having like poor mental health experiences? I look at it like, when you're playing a sport, Caroline, and sports have a level of merit to it. You have to be good, and that's how you move on. But it also has a level of subjectivity. Everybody's not going to like how you play or how you respond to questions or things like that. And so what happens is, oftentimes as athletes, we allow our environment. I kind of spoke on it a little bit before. We allow our environment, which sometimes that environment is unruly fans, people who have opinions in a negative fashion about us. Sometimes we allow that environment to define our reality. And at the end of the day, we can't be defined, or we can't be a slave to the forces of our environment, right? We have to be strong enough and have the willpower. And again, we can go into the ancient, religious texts and all that type of stuff, but that's really what it's talking about. It's talking about having the willpower to overcome your environment, not being a slave to your environment, but making your environment kind of be a slave to you, so to speak.
So as an athlete, how has that affected your mental health, especially coming up through college and then going into the NFL?
How has being an athlete affected my mental health? Well, I can say this, Caroline, like growing up, I didn't really think about mental health like that. Like just being a young person, 8, 9, 10 years old. I never really thought about it, but I did use the game of football to kind of give me validation of who I was. You know what I'm saying? My mother also helped me in that regard. My older brother helped me in that regard, and other family members. Um, but football, because I was good at it, because I could run fast, I could catch, I could throw, you know what I mean? It was something that I could play outside by myself. So I got really, really good at it. Um, it allowed me to, get feedback from my environment that gave me the confidence to keep going. You know what I'm saying? And once I got that confidence to know that, okay, all I have to do is like most of reality really starts with a thought. You know what I mean? This table I'm sitting at, right? Somebody had to think of it, then somebody had to put in the work, and then somebody made it. And so they created their own reality. Once I started really understanding that concept, like, man, so as long as I am happy and I keep myself joyous and things like that, I can almost overcome any outside force that tries to come make me feel bad. And so football just kind of gave me the confidence to be confident all the time, and that's a big deal when you're dealing with mental health.
Definitely, and I'm sure a lot of, I know you mentioned earlier, is you've seen a lot of changes since when we talk about mental health, especially now we have more players coming out talking about it. So, and from your point of view, what changes have you seen regarding mental health at the NFL when you first joined the league towards now as the NFL is taking on mental health?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I've seen sweeping changes with the National Football League with regard to mental health. Sweeping changes, like this is something that they're serious about, right? When I first came into the National Football League in 2006, like you don't really get days off. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been days I was sick. I'm like, oh, there's no way I can practice today. But guess what? I ended up finding my way into the football building and at least showing up to work, right? So you really never get days off. But now what I'm starting to see, especially, and I'm on the media side, so I get a chance to really observe it. Guys, if they aren't right, if they aren't feeling right, if maybe they're going through something at home, if maybe their family situation isn't right, and it's affecting their play, teams are actually allowing these players to take a day. You know what I'm saying? Go home. Um, and that would have never happened 20 years ago. Never, never, ever, ever, ever happened because people just didn't really regard mental health in professional sports as being that important. And it was all about the dollar. It was all about going out performing and just, being entertainment. And I think especially in the last 10 years, especially athletes like LeBron James has really kind of put out there, we're more than athletes. We're more than the gladiators from the Roman arena, from the Roman Coliseum, the Roman arena old societies used to use to distract people. We're more than that. We're actually human beings. We actually have likes. We actually have to have our mental health, our minds in a certain space so that we can go out there and to perform. And so, yeah, the NFL has made sweeping changes. It's definitely on the forefront of the decision makers' minds. And at the end of the day, I think I went to a owners meeting a couple of years ago and had an interesting conversation with Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Los Angeles Rams, about having great mental health and how certain communities have been affected by generational bad mental health. And that's taken a stride, Caroline, because a lot of these rich, wealthy guys, they don't necessarily care. And now they're starting to care.
Definitely. We've seen now, as you mentioned, players getting a chance to take off days. I know in college it was a lot of hard work too, but even with my personal experiences, but I'm so lucky that the Division I SAAC is actually trying to get mental health days passed where student athletes can take a mental health day because, as you know, it's really a grind and it really takes a toll, especially when you're not feeling well and you can't perform, when you feel like you can't perform. But it's been so exciting to see more athletes get those opportunities to put their mental health first, and a lot of people coming out and speaking about it. And I found a lot of strength from people speaking out about it. But what's encouraged you to come speak out about your mental health?
Well, in the intro, I talked about my two foundations, Excel to Excellence Youth Football Foundation and Excel to Excellence. So I work with a lot of kids, and you know, just being at the football fields, I hold summer programs. I'm around young people all the time, and you start to notice things about them. You start to notice that oftentimes they're only acting up because they want attention. Oftentimes they're doing things because something is missing in their life, something is missing at home. The parents have some issues that haven't been totally resolved, and then you go even deeper in the bloodline, and it's like the great grandparents were here, and you just start to say, man, like somebody has to be the adult in the room. And I don't mean to say that as a disrespect to parents or anything like that, but somebody has to have like a 30,000-foot view and say, okay, this is a damn problem in my community. Let's do something about it. And so what I do, I put on programs, I run football camps, things like that. But more than anything, I'm in the community, right? Because people here from Richmond, Virginia, kids here from Richmond, Virginia, they're not used to seeing somebody on television that they watch on Saturdays and Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays, and then go to the store and see them walking down the aisles in Walmart. That's powerful in this area. And Caroline, you've been down to Virginia. It's powerful for kids to see me walking around in this community. And so for them just to be able to see me, oftentimes we have a conversation and it's like, Mr. Robinson, I'm like, yeah. And they're like, aren't you supposed to be in Los Angeles? Aren't you supposed to be in New York? Why are you here? And oftentimes I say, Caroline, I say, for you. I'm here to affect you. I'm here to make sure you have a joyful experience. I'm here to make sure you understand that adversity is just times of struggle or times of growth. It's not really the end of your life. It's not really the end of whatever you want to have going on. So I'm here to give you a boost of confidence to let you know I walked those same streets. I encountered those same drug dealers. I encountered the same issues you did, and I made it out. And guess what? Not only did I make it out, I wanted to come back and live here. I made this home because I wanted to change this community. And again, that's powerful. We need more people from communities that look like me to come back home and teach young people the way. And I think by me being here, it provides the greatest level of, mental health or good mental health for the young people that I possibly can, just experiencing me and being able to encounter me.
What do you think are current stressors for student athletes in their current environment that kind of like affects how they compete with, and also mental health?
Oh yeah, stressors. Well, first of all, so I mentor some young rookies that come into the National Football League, and they're always like, "Oh man, I'm so nervous. It's gonna be harder. It's gonna be harder." What? College football was the hardest thing ever for me. I had never lived on my own before. I'm 18 years old. I have to go live 6 hours away. Great education, great people that I'm meeting and things like that. But you got to worry about school too. Like I got to write a paper. You know what I'm saying? I got midterms on top of trying to go to the National Football League, on top of, the Center Daily Times writing whatever they're going to write about the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh. Like that was nerve wracking. Like to the point where I had to like set rules for myself. Okay, Mike, during the fall, you cannot read the newspaper. Do not read the newspaper, especially during them years, we weren't that good. So it's like, all right, I'm not going to read the newspaper. I'm going to protect my own mental health today. I'm going to protect my own feelings. You know what I'm saying? Again, and then I didn't necessarily have this stressor on me, but I know a lot of kids that I, life coach and help that's in college. They have a lot of stressors on them, and their stresses are more. Hold on, I'm sorry, my daughter was calling me. My stressors were more like, other people's stresses are more like their family, right? Maybe your parents want you to be a lawyer or a doctor or something else, and not necessarily an athlete. You have that stress on you from making the grade and all those things. Like to me, being a student athlete in college, that's everything. If you can handle that, if you can come out on the other side of that, yeah, you're gonna be successful in life. Absolutely.
So I have two more questions for you. The first one is, what are you in the NFL doing now to promote change around mental health?
Definitely putting out social media videos, social media campaigns. One thing that we're doing a lot of, especially when training camp starts, is just having, NFL videos or NFL player engagement going around to training camps and actually getting the guys like in their pads talking about this. Like, I think that's powerful because sometimes a young person may not listen to the television or may not recognize the player that's on the television if he's not in his pads. I think just the visual of having this big, tough, strong football player talk about with the things that he does to make sure that his mental health is right, the things that he does to make sure he's happy, the things that he does in the morning. Like, I know for me, I do a lot of grounding processes in the morning, whether it's stretching, meditation, yoga, like all the things just to ground yourself for today so that you can make the best decisions possible, so you can be the best version of yourself in every situation. Like, to me, that's powerful. That's just powerful to me.
Definitely. I'm really excited to see what you and the NFL continue to do on mental health, and it's just been really awesome to see you take on that initiative. And it's just so awesome. But to wrap up, what advice do you have for student athletes who may be struggling or afraid to talk to someone about their mental health?
If you're afraid to talk to somebody about it, I would say, um, don't be. I mean, I don't really know how to tell somebody to not be afraid to talk. I think on the other side, like as a friend, I know for me, I'm always looking at my friends and seeing if they're behaving differently, if they're, posting things differently. Cause you know how it is in social media now. People post what they're feeling. All you gotta do is look through your timeline. You could tell the people that's going through stuff and the people that's pretty happy in life. You know what I'm saying? And what I do is, as a friend, if I see that my friends are going through something, especially a lot of the guys that I played with at Penn State, if I see that they're going through something, I just call and say, "Hey, what's up? How you doing? How are you doing?" There's guys that I know, if I just call them and get right to a serious conversation, they'll shut down on me. But if I just call, "Hey man, what you doing? How you been? How your kids doing?" Just seeing how they're doing. I may call 2 days in a row to see how they're doing. On that third day, they're gonna start opening up a little bit. They're gonna start talking. I would say to people that's scared to talk, um, oftentimes there's people right in your circumference of influence that have gone through the same things you have. Oftentimes there's same people in your circumference of influence that have the answers for you. I know people say we live in the universe and all that stuff. I say we live in a mirror verse. I feel like everybody I encounter is like me trying to tell me something about myself. You know what I'm saying? And so don't be afraid to speak out. There's no longer, I mean, it's no longer this stigma that maybe you a punk or not tough or something like that for speaking out. Actually, you get more brownie points in today's age for understanding your brain, understanding your mental health, and understanding your feelings. You know what I'm saying? So don't be shy. Reach out, talk to somebody. Hell, if you got me on social media, talk to me on social media. Real Mike Rob, all of that. I'll talk to you. I'll listen. But talk to somebody, because nobody should be going through mental health challenges alone.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you again for taking time to speak to us today. And I really appreciate all the work you've been doing for mental health and all the work you do in your community as well.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, guys. Y'all be good. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.